Well, good day, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NBA 2024 predictions video. I'm joined by a massive New York Knicks fan tonight. He's also a fan of the Giants when it comes to the NFL. So he's a New York man. I'm joined by Winston Neville. Thanks for jumping on.
Nah, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Keen to talk some NBA. Should be good.
Yeah, not long to go. Not long to go. We've only got 16 days from the time of filming this. My Los Angeles Lakers take on the Nuggets, and your boys definitely a challenge there, taking on the Celtics in the season opener for your boys. So hopefully you can get off to a flyer.
Yeah, well, beating Celtics first game of the season is it's happened before. I remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago it happened, and it was a huge boost. So it's always good to get one over the Celtics.
Well, let's get straight into it, guys. We're going to be talking about the East, we're going to be talking about the West, and we're going to throw in some other predictions later on. So let's start off with the West. Now, Winston has come up with his ladder and then gone off the matchups that we would have based off that. I have actually spent 3 hours predicting every game of the season and every team's overall record. And some of the records for these teams are pretty poor that I expected to be good. In 15th place, I have the Utah Jazz. We expected
Ooh.
Utah to be quite low last year. We saw them enter the bottom four later in the year after they got off to a flyer. I think their overall record is going to be 21 wins to 63 losses. Who have you got last in the West, Winston?
Last in the West, I've actually gone Blazers. I think that they'll get. I have Jazz pretty low, but not at the bottom. I've got Blazers at the bottom.
All right, moving on to 14th. There it is. I do have the Blazers. I think they're up for a bad season, but I think they can get a couple more wins than the Jazz there. I'm going to go with a record of 25 and 58. What about you?
I've got the Jazz, so we've got the same bottom two, just flipped over, I suppose.
Just flipped over. In 13th, I have the Houston Rockets. I know there's the acquisition of Dylan Brooks this season, which could be promising for them, but bloke's a peanut. I reckon they're going to have a record of 28 wins to 56 losses for the Rockets in 13th.
I've actually also gone the Rockets in 13th, so there you go.
There you go. In 12th, I've got the San Antonio Spurs. They get Victor Wembanyama this season. They seemed, a lot of people think they could have been decent-ish last season, but they tanked for Wembanyama. We'll wait and see whether that is true. I've got them going 30 wins and 55 losses, still out of the play-ins, in my opinion.
I've also got the Spurs at number 12, so great minds think alike. I think in the West, especially, it's probably easier to pick, that bottom four teams anyway. But yeah, I've also got the Spurs at number 12.
Yeah, it's just hard to pick the order, which we'll obviously come back to
Yeah, yeah.
and see how our predictions were. Now, in 11th, I actually think, honestly, this team will finish higher. But based on just the matchups that they have, the amount of travel, I've actually got the Minnesota Timberwolves in
Oh,
11th being eliminated. Now, this is
interesting.
really tough because I know they've got a lot of talent in their roster. And personally, I think they could be a playoff team rather than a play-in team. But yeah, I've got them 11th here. You got to have someone there. I've got the Wolves 29 wins, 53 losses, eliminated just from play-in contention.
I've got the Wolves a little bit higher. I've actually got OKC in at 11, just missing that play in.
Okay. At 10th, I've got the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they're going to have a better season this year. I think they were showing very promising signs, and I think they're going to have a record of 31 and 53, finishing in 10th.
I've got the Wolves in 10th, so just that little bit higher than you had them. As you said, you probably do expect them to go a bit better than 11th, but I think it's a competitive West this coming season. And yeah, I've got the Wolves in 10.
In ninth, you mentioned them by one game, 32 wins, 53 losses. I've got OKC. I think, again, they showed a bit of promise towards the back half of the year, started to let it slip away and just weren't able to execute. But yeah, it could be a lot better for OKC this year.
I've got the Pelicans in 9, who you just obviously touched on. I think Yeah, I think they'll be thereabouts for the play-in spots. I would have been 9.
Now, 8 seed for mine is pretty crazy. This is a team that definitely should be higher. I know that they really struggled, especially in the back part of last year, but under a preseason, and I'm just going to say it, I've got the Dallas Mavericks. I reckon they're going to be a
Ooh.
play-in team and not a play-off team coming into the season. I think they're going to have a pretty even in regards to wins and losses. I've got the Mavs going 42 wins and 41 losses for the season.
I feel like that's a bit of a spicy take. I don't hate it. I disagree. I think they'll do a bit better, but I don't hate it as a take. I think the Mavs do tend to get a little bit overrated, especially with like Luca. I feel like they still need a couple of pieces around him to really, compete for a championship. But in 8, I've got the Clippers. I think, yeah,
Well,
I think they'll be, around the play in.
yeah, well, you've just mentioned it. I've got the Clippers in 7th. I've got them as
There you
the
go.
first team going into the play-in. I do have them winning more games than the Mavs, though. I've got the Mavs at 42, the Clippers at 49. And yeah, I think they'll be in the play-in. And it'd be questionable whether they can stay healthy because, if they lose one part of that three-man squad that they've got, it could spell some signs of disaster in the West for them.
I've got the Grizzlies at number 7, so just missing out on
Ooh.
locking in a playoff spot. I've got them falling into, yeah, the play in. I think because and Jar's missing at the start of the season, isn't he? Am I
Yeah, I
correct in
believe
that?
he's missing the first at least 16, 15
Yeah.
games. So,
So that could come back to haunt them late as well if they, let a couple of games slip early on.
all right, in 6, so 6 seed going to the playoffs, I have the Golden State Warriors. I think Golden State's going to go 50 wins, 35 losses, and could go on a bit of a run.
I've got the Mavs in at 6, just creeping into locking in a playoff spot.
Well,
See,
there
as
you
I
go.
said, a
Well,
little bit higher than you had them, but yeah.
we both haven't mentioned our team yet, but I'm going to mention my team now, the Los Angeles Lakers. I think we're going to finish in the 5th seed. I think we're going to win one more game than Golden State do to stay out of the 6. 51 wins, 35 losses for the season, and potentially LeBron's final game of his career, or even with the
Mm.
Lakers before a change.
Yeah, I've also got the Lakers in at 5. So we're on the same page there as well.
All right, next up in 4th by again one game, locking up 4th seed, 52 wins and 33 losses. I've got the Sacramento Kings. They proved to me that they're a really quality side throughout last year, and the clutchness of De'Aaron Fox is going to be there again this season. He's just maturing more and more as the seasons go on and becoming very consistent. So, yeah, I think that the Kings can be a top 4 side, and yeah, I got Sacramento at 4.
I've also got Sacramento at 4. I feel like as you just touched on, like De'Aaron Fox, he's really come into his own. Yeah, he was most clutch player last year, wasn't he?
I believe
Like
he
he won
was,
that
yeah.
award, and he's just every year he's improving and he's starting to take control of that Kings team, and they looked dangerous last season. So yeah, I've got them coming in 4 as well.
In number 3, I've got the Phoenix Suns. They're a very good regular season team. I've got them at 54 wins and 30 losses for the season.
I've actually gone. This is kind of smoky. I've got the Warriors coming in at 3. I think they're going to
Ooh,
go.
okay.
I think yeah, a lot of people writing them off a little bit. I think they'll be right up there this season.
In 2, I've got a team that I know you had a lot lower. I didn't think too much about the missing Jar situation, but I still think they're a good team even without Jar. I've got the Memphis Grizzlies. They've gotten rid of um, some of the I don't want to call him a cancer, but some of the cancers within their club.
Yeah,
And I think they can improve on it. So I've got the Grizzlies going 56 and 28 losses. So Grizzlies getting second seed this season.
and to their credit, I feel like I'm pretty sure they had a pretty good win percentage without Jar last season. At least early on in the season, they did. I know it became a bit of a meme that they were better without Jar Morant, and they've also acquired blokes like Derrick Rose, who's just going to bring a bit of experience to the team, and surely he helps like Jar develop as a player as well. In
Yep.
number two, I've got the Suns. I see a lot of people predicting the Suns to be number one, so I was relieved to hear you had them at three. Because yeah, I don't know if the Suns will be a one seed this season, despite having KD added and that.
Well, it looks like we both have the same number one seed, which is the team that won the championship last year. The team with, at the moment, a healthy Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. This team could be anything. I have the Denver Nuggets by 5 games, locking up the number one seed, and I think they'll have 24 losses throughout the season.
Yep, obviously I've got Nuggets at number one as well, the reigning champs. Yeah, they're always up there as well. Obviously, they was it their first championship ever, like the one they won last season. I think it might have been,
I think so.
but they seem to always be, deep into playoffs or at the top of the ladder at the end of the regular season. So yeah, I've got them at number one.
All right, let's get into the East, where obviously your boys, the Knicks, are, and I've got them in 15th. No, I haven't. I'm not mean. This is going to be
Goodness
interesting
me.
because, let's be real. Teams like the Pacers, the Pistons, the Magic, they're all like laughing stock, but they're probably going to be better this season. In 15th, I've got the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of losses to
Oh,
this side, a bit of a drop off. I think they're going to win as many games as the team that come 14th. I won't say their name yet, just to give it away. I think there'll be a bit of a gap between 14th and 13th, but I think the Nets are going to lose 61 games. I know they've still got some young talent coming through that we've seen. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cam Thomas had some really good moments last year, so I expect to see more from him as well. But yeah, I think Brooklyn Nets, based off the ladder predictor that I was doing, it's going to be a really rough year for Brooklyn fans that were expecting a championship just a few years ago.
yeah, I've got them much higher than last, but at the same time, I don't hate the take. Also, they're like a rival of the Knicks, so I just hate the Nets altogether. So I'm happy to have them at 15th. But me personally, I've got the Pistons coming in at 15th, which I feel is probably a bit lower than a lot of people expect, but that's just where I've got them.
Well, I've got the Pistons at 14th. I've got them on 22 wins and 61 losses. So the same record as the Nets. So basically, you could really swap it around and say we've got the same take there potentially. But yeah,
Yeah,
again, I think the Pistons, I think that Cade Cunningham could actually be most improved player coming back from injury. We've seen how good he can be. I think he's a bit of a smoky for most improved player, but yeah, I don't expect much from the Pistons throughout the season. Couple good wins here and there, 20 wins or more.
I like that take of Cunningham most improved. I think that's a good shout. I think that's a very good shout. I've got the Wizards at number 14. I think they'll, yeah, fall off a little bit this season. I feel like they were sort of low anyway last season, but yeah, I've got them at 14.
I've got the Indiana Pacers at 13. I've got them with 27 wins and 57 losses. I think the loss of TJ Warren as well. I know they've still got um, some okay players there, but I think they've lost a few players over the years, and I think it's really going to start to show in the coming years as well.
I've got Raptors at 13.
Oh,
Yeah, I've I know that's a smoky pick, but I've got them,
yeah,
yeah,
that's a
quite
big
low.
smoky,
I've got
that
them at
one.
13. Yeah, that's almost my smokiest pick of the East, other than a team that I've got quite high.
All right, in
Yeah.
12th, I've got the Orlando Magic. I've got them with 31 wins and 49 losses. I think they'll be better this season. I've got that 4 game difference and even 10 game difference between the Pistons, whereas Pistons and Magic were kind of equal to some people last year when they matched up. You couldn't pick who was going to win, but I think Magic have shown some good signs, and I think they're a sneaky play-in potential team. But right now, I'd have them at 12th.
I've got the Nets at 12. Obviously, you already talked about the Nets. Yeah, I've got them landing at 12.
This is my boldest take, I think, for the entire video. And this is a team I do not think is going to be eliminated, but based on the ladder, and I'm going to look like an idiot, I have the Chicago Bulls being eliminated with a record of
Ooh.
35 wins and 50 losses. If you're watching this BKR Sport, I am so sorry. Please do not come for me. But I've got the Bulls in 11th.
Yeah, that's low. I've got the Bulls like a little bit higher. In 11th, I've got the Hornets. I feel like the Hornets could almost go even lower, to be honest. But you'd think they've got the right pieces there to, avoid the lower tier.
All right, in 10th is a team that you had eliminated. I've actually got the Washington Wizards. I think they'll be a bit of a surprise this year. I think they'll find themselves in the play-in, but not much further. I think they'll have a record of 36 wins and 45 losses.
I've got the Magic sneaking into the play-in at number 10, who obviously you just sort of talked about, but
Oh,
yeah, that's I don't know if that is that smoky, but yeah, I've got them sneaking in. I don't think they'll even get out of the play-in, but that's where I've got them landing.
well, there you go. You mentioned this team as well. Honestly, I think this team will probably finish lower. Maybe this team swaps out with the Bulls, but just because of my ladder prediction, I have got by 2 games over the Wizards, ninth seed, the Charlotte Hornets, 38 wins and 46 losses. So not a bad record overall. But as you said, they've got some keys to the puzzle that could definitely get them some good wins on the board and enough wins, I think, to sneak in there if they're a chance.
At 9, I've got the team you hate the most, apparently, the Chicago Bulls. I think they'll be a play-in team. I don't know if they'll push to. Yeah, I don't think they'll push to be a playoff team, like lock in a playoff spot. They could probably get to the playoffs via the play-in. Yeah, I've got them at 9th.
Fair, fair. In 8th, I've got a team that's always either in the playoffs or, in the play-in and gets into the playoff. I've got the Atlanta Hawks. I've got them with 39 wins and 46 losses. So only that one win between them and the Hawks. And I have a massive gap, which I'll speak about in a minute, between 7th and 8th. So the last spot in the play-in.
I've got the Pacers all the way up at number 8. I think they're going to surprise a few people this year. I know
Yep.
everything you said was so true, but I don't know. I've just got a feeling that they're going to sneak into the play-in and maybe even the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say it. I think the Pacers are going to be in the playoffs. I'll make the
Wow. What's
call.
that? What's that paying?
Let me have a look, actually, because
Got to be
surely it
about
wouldn't be
$4.
heap.
Well,
You talk
I'll
about
speak
your
about
next one.
seventh,
Yeah.
but we'll come back to the price. In 7th is a team that you have very, very low. I think you actually had them bottom 3. This is like me for the Pacers. I've got the Raptors. I reckon the Raptors
Ooh.
are going to sneak something. Siakam, Scotty Barnes. I think that they've got a nice looking team, and I think they can get 6 more wins than the Hawks and be that 7th seed within the play-in. I've got them with 47 wins and 35 losses.
Just back on the Pacers, 226 to make the playoffs.
Okay,
So
not too
a
bad.
little bit of value there. Obviously, that means they're more likely to not make the playoffs. The Raptors, they're 245 to make the playoffs as well. So
Bit of
there you
value
go. There's
there.
some value there. At 7, though, I've got the Hawks. As you said, they just always seem to be a play-in team. And yeah, I don't see them being much more or much less this season. I think they'll be there. They probably sneak into the playoffs because obviously, like I got them high in the play-in. But if they're making the playoffs, I don't think they get out of the first round.
Well, let's get into our top 6 in the East, and we are starting off with the New York Knicks. In my opinion, the New York Knicks are a top 6 team. I think that they can be above those play-in teams. I've actually only got them by 1 game over the Raptors, believe it or
Ooh.
not. I've got them at 48 wins and 35 losses, finishing in 6th.
Yeah, I've also got my Knicks in at the 6. I think there'll probably be a bit more of a gap between them and 7th, but I just don't see them being better than any of the 5 teams I have above them. I think they're almost a tier of their own, to be honest, where they're not quite as good as the top 5, but a bit better than the rest of the teams.
Yeah, well, this top 5, man, it's hard to pick the order. This is probably going to be the hardest part of the season. But look, in
100%.
5, I've got the Miami Heat. I've actually got the Heat 9 games clear of the Knicks there. So I've got the Heat 57 and 27 overall record. I think they've built towards being a contender. They were in the finals last year, which is crazy. But I think there will be that little bit of a drop off going into this season with some of the acquisitions that other teams have had.
Yeah, I agree entirely, and I've also got the Heat at 5 for the same reasons. I also think,
It'd be funny if
Goff,
we have the
Jimmy
same
Butler,
top five in order.
that'd be wild if we do, because it's a tight top 5.
It is. It is. In fourth, this is where I'm going to stuff it, I think. I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavs, they've definitely been building towards something good, and I think they can go, close enough this season. I got the Cavs going 58 wins and 25 losses throughout the season.
I've got the 76ers in 4th. So not quite the same, unfortunately, but yeah, I've got 76ers in the 4 seed.
Next up, this team is going to be very hard to beat in third seed. They have acquired Damian Lillard in a massive deal at Milwaukee. The Bucks, they're always there. They're always top 4. Really solid team. If they are healthy, they are going to be very, very tough to beat. And I've literally got 2 games separating 3, 2, and 1. But I still think that there are some teams that can get just above the Bucks. The Bucks can definitely go deep in the finals, though, and probably match up with the team that I have in first later in the final series. But the Bucks, 61 wins, 24 losses for the season for Giannis and Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I've got the Cavs at number 3, who you already sort of touched on, and then obviously I've got the Bucks a little bit higher, but yeah, I've got the Cavs at number 3.
In second, you mentioned them, and I just think they're a really good regular season team, especially if they're healthy, really hard to beat, and they seem to win well away from home. I've got the Philadelphia 76ers. I know that at the moment, James Harden is probably looking at a trade, so it seems to be really late if it was to happen, but that could still happen. Embiid, who I actually predicted to be the MVP in my preseason predictions last year, ended up getting it. So still got really nice Tyrese Maxey, but there is a team that I do have just above them.
Yeah, I've got the Bucks at number 2. As you said, they're always high up. I feel like they really start to click when it comes to playoffs rather than regular season. They sort of always finish a bit lower than people expect, but with Lillard, it's very hard to put them, low, really. I've got them at number 2.
By 1 game separating them, 61 for the Bucks, 62 for the Sixers, and 63 for the Boston Celtics. I think they're going to get the number 1 seed in the East. I think they're going to have 22 losses, which is not too many for the season. There were some weird, disappointing losses last season. I think that they have, recruited defense as well. So, yeah, they're going to be a really tough team this season, especially falling so short, especially for those who had the Celtics on better.
Yeah, and obviously I've got the Celtics at number 1 as well. It's a scary team, like the Knicks being an East team and a rival of the Celtics. You always sort of have your eye on the Celtics, and they're just scary this season. I've got them going deep into the playoffs.
All right, let's get into almost the playoffs. Let's get into the play-in. So, Guy, if you don't know what the play-in is, basically the teams that finish from 7th to 10th play in the play-in from each side. Now, my matchups, I'll go through mine, and then Winston will go through his. I've got the Mavs going up against the Clippers. I've got the Mavs winning that game. And then I've also got the Pelicans going up against the Thunder, where I have the Pelicans winning that game. Over in the East, I've got the Hawks versus the Raptors. I've got Atlanta Hawks to win that game. And the Wizards versus the Hornets. The Hornets to win that, which puts the final matches in the play-in to be Pelicans versus Clippers. I've got the Clippers going to the playoffs and the Hornets and the Raptors. And you said it, Winston, at $2.45, I've got the Raptors going into the playoffs.
Big call, but I don't mind it. For me in the West, so it's 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10, isn't it?
Off the top of my head, I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I've got Grizzlies playing Clippers. I've got Grizzlies winning that. I've got Pelicans playing Wolves. I'm going to go Pels to win that. And then I'm going to go Pelicans to beat the Clippers and jump into the playoffs as well. So Grizzlies and
Oh,
Pelicans.
okay.
Yeah, there's a hot take for you. And then in the East, I've got Hawks Pacers. I've got the Hawks winning that. And then that would mean Bulls and Magic. I'm going to go Bulls to win that. And then, as I said earlier, I'm going to get the Pacers into the playoffs, which means I've got Pacers to beat the Bulls.
Wow. Pacers to go to the playoff. It is a big, big, bold take, but that is our
huge
play-in
take.
tournament. Let's get into it. The NBA Finals. Now, I believe that I actually should, for some reason, I could be wrong, but I think I should actually have an extra set of games here that I have forgotten. So I'll run through what I have, but I think I've missed out somehow on a round and there's been a glitch. But I've got number 1 Denver defeating the number 8 Los Angeles Clippers 4-1 over in the West. I've got the Lakers beating the Kings in 5th seed 4-2. I think Golden State versus Phoenix 6-3. It's going to be an amazing series, this one, especially with Kevin Durant going up against his former club. But like you said, people sleeping on Golden State, and I've got Golden State knocking out Phoenix in 7-game series, and bit of an upset, but not really because of where they finished. I want to change this now, but I've got the 2nd seed Grizzlies defeating the Mavs 4-2, but I kind of think that matchup the Mavs would probably win. Over in the East, I've got Boston at 1 defeating the Raptors 4-1. I've got the Cavs at 4 defeating the Heat. So the Heat have gone from the finals to being eliminated in round 1. The Bucks to beat your Knicks. I do apologize. I do have the Knicks winning 2 of those games. It's going to be tough. And Philly defeating the Hawks 4-1. Let's hear your first round.
So I've got Nuggets and Pelicans first round. I'm taking the Nuggets there. I don't think Pelicans can go deep into the playoffs at all, especially against Nuggets round 1. I've got Suns, the 2 seed, to beat Grizzlies. I've got Warriors, the 3 seed, to beat Mavs. And then I'll also go Lakers to upset the Kings. And
yes, we've both got the Lakers beating the Kings. I love it.
I'll do that just for you, mate. And then over in the East, the interesting side of it, because I'm a biased Knicks fan, I've got Celtics to beat the Pacers. I've got Bucks to beat the Hawks. Unfortunately, I'm going to say the Cavs beat the Knicks, and the Knicks will be a first round exit, which hurts me, but it is what it is. And then I'm going to go Heat over 76ers, and 76ers to be a first round exit as well, which is a bit smoky.
Well, there you go. All right, I have I'm pretty sure this is my final series, unless I've done it wrong. But so I got Denver taking on the Lakers once more. And I think the Lakers put in a better fight, but I think Denver still win and finish the Lakers season. Denver 4-2. And then I've got, I know where I went wrong, I think now. Then I've got Warriors versus Grizzlies. We always see this matchup, and, the Grizzlies have done really well to make it this far. Because they've made it so far, I think this goes to a 7-game series. If the Grizzlies team's healthy, I give them a massive chance to win, but got the Warriors to win. I know the Cavs defeated the Miami Heat 4-2, but I just think Boston, to try and get so close to the finals, will really do a job on the Cavs. So I got Boston 4-1 in that series, and the Bucks to defeat the 76ers 4-2 because they're just known for exits, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. In the West, so I've got Lakers, Nuggets as well, and I'm going to go Nuggets to beat the Lakers, as you said. My apologies. And then Suns, Warriors. I can see that one going to 7 games, and I'm going to go the Suns to come out on top. KD, a little bit of revenge on the Warriors. The Suns to advance. And then in the East, I've got Celtics, Heat. I've got Celtics winning that, and then Bucks, Cavs. I've got Bucks winning that for Celtics and Bucks to face each other.
So is that your final? Celtics? Oh no, Celtics Bucks in the conference final. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I technically don't have the results, I guess, of my conference final, but I think, yes, I know it now. I do. Okay, so I have Denver. I don't have the result of how many games, but I've worked it out. I have
Yeah.
Denver taking on Golden State, first seed versus sixth seed. I got Golden State going back to the NBA Finals. I think they're being slept on this year. I think the addition of Chris Paul is really big as well. I think they're a really good scoring team. They can improve on defense. I got Golden State going into the final. And then I've also got, I think you've got it as well, Boston versus Milwaukee over there in the East. And I have the Bucks winning that one. Very, very tough. You could have either team, but I have got the Bucks finishing in the 3 seed versus the Golden State Warriors in the 6 seed. And my NBA champion for 2024 is the Milwaukee Bucks to defeat Golden State in 6 games.
There you go. I do want to just add, obviously I said that the Suns would beat Warriors based on like the way my ladder is and that. But if I had to pick a smoky to win the championship this year, it would be the Warriors. I think there's value in them. As you said, I think they're being slept on a little bit. But unfortunately, that isn't how I've got things playing out, despite that being my smoky prediction. Nuggets Suns. I've got Suns defeating the Nuggets and going to the finals. And then in the East, as I said, Celtics Bucks. I think Celtics beat the Bucks. I'm going to go opposite to what you said. And then obviously that means that Celtics Suns in the final. And I'm actually going to go Celtics to be the champions this coming season. So also the East. But yeah, I've got Celtics.
Well, we have 2 different final series, 2 different champions, which is absolutely awesome. All right, we're about to get into our last couple predictions, but that was our full ladder predictions for the season. So, other predictions that we have added for this one, we have got MVP, the clutch player of the year, rookie of the year, which is behind us, cough, cough, and sixth man of the year. So, who is your MVP for the 2024 season?
Well, if people have been paying attention to this video, I had the Suns finishing quite high, and so I've got Kevin Durant being the MVP. I think if Suns are to finish that high, it means Kevin Durant stays healthy and plays some good basketball, and so I've got him as MVP.
Well, speaking of finishing high, finishing, in my opinion, in the first seed over in the East, having a great, end to the season, I have Jason Tatum getting the MVP award. I think he's going to go one better and get it this year. Who is your clutch player of the year?
I've gone Shy. Is it Gilchrist Alexander? I don't know if I'm
Shea
pronouncing this.
Gilgeous
Shay.
Alexander.
Yeah, that's my pick for clutch
That's
player
a
of the
smoky,
year.
but it's a really good one, and I would like to know what that's paying. I'm just trying to look now, but that's a
Have
great
a look
pick.
because there'd have to be value in that. Hey,
Yeah, $10.
there you go. Not bad, not bad. He's actually equal favorite, which has surprised me.
Well, my
But
pick
it's still
is a
value.
team. My pick is a team that I've got a little bit lower. Hey, I've got them at eighth, so I've got them as a play-in team, but I just think he's so good, and we're going to see those clutch moments throughout the season. And I know he's got, a partner in crime now, but he needs to show just how much he can bring to the team, not just how much Kyrie can bring to the team. I've got Luka Doncic. I think I had him 2 seasons ago as my pick for the MVP. But this year, I don't think he'll be that MVP, but I do think he can be the clutch player of the year. Who is your rookie of the year, if I need to ask?
I don't think you need to ask. I'm pretty sure you could say this one for the both of us, but it's Victor Wembanyama. I feel like I might have pronounced his last name wrong again, but yeah.
Yeah, he's behind us, folks. Victor Wembanyama is going. If now I might have pronounced it wrong because of you, but he's right
I don't
behind
know.
us. The Spurs. He's going to carry them to, what did we have them? Well, I had them in 12. He's going to carry them to the 12 seed this season.
Yeah, I think I had them at 12 as well. But he's the first picked in the draft for a reason.
And then our final pick for the night, final pick for the season, is our sixth man of the year. Now, the favorite is Emmanuel Quickly. Other picks are Derek White, really good pick and really good value there at $11. I am actually going to go first here, and I think that Chris Paul is going to bring so much to Golden State. And I think they've already got that good starting five, the defense of Kevin Looney, the offense of, Curry and Thompson. So I actually think that he'll spend most of his time on the bench. I definitely think there'll be them games where players are rested and he'll start. But I think he can do enough to get Sixth Man of the Year at a massive $18 price.
I call me biased, and I'm annoyed that he's the favorite because I thought he'd be a bit more of a smoky, but he did come very close last year. It's Emmanuel Quickly for Sixth Man of the Year for me. He really did bring a lot off the bench for the Knicks last season, and I think he'll just be doing the same thing this year, if not with more improvement. So yeah, I've got Emmanuel Quickly as Sixth Man of the Year.
Well, there we go. So just for a quick recap, my MVP for the season is Jason Tatum, my Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama, and I have the Bucks defeating Golden State in the finals. And Winston, you have?
I had the Celtics winning the championship. I had KD MVP, and I had the same Rookie of the Year. I don't think, surely nobody is picking anyone else as Rookie of the Year, honestly.
Nah, there's a few people that could, but I think it's not really much of a contest. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the channel, and thank you guys for joining us during this video. Let us know your predictions in the comments. We're very excited for the NBA season, and maybe we could chuck up a little stream throughout the season. Jump on StreamYard, watch a game. I think it'd be a great idea. Maybe Knicks and Lakers if we're both not working.
That's a good idea. I like it. Thanks for having me on as well. I appreciate the invite. It's been
No,
fun.
that's okay. Well, guys, make sure you check out Winston over on TikTok as well as the YouTube channel. If you're new around here, make sure you like and subscribe. I do NFL tipping videos. I do plenty of NRL content, but it is obviously the off season, and there'll be plenty of NBA videos throughout the season. And I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know yours, and I'll see you guys next time.